Miss Lucy Peabody. There is an unmistakable air of condescension in the attendant's voice as he announces my arrival. I wonder, does he take such a patronizing tone with every guest, or is the honor uniquely mine? Before I have an opportunity to ask, he bows brusquely and vanishes into the depths of the house. I have half a mind to stop him. Even his unpleasant company would be a welcome bulwark during the meeting to come. Without him, it is only she and I. Good morning, Lucy. The sound of her voice sends a shiver up my spine. It is not too late. There's still time to run. No, I will not give her the satisfaction. Instead, I take a deep breath and march forward, a soldier plunging headfirst into the fires of war. In the center of the yard stands a round table strewn with the scattered remains of a solitary breakfast, a few scraps of which have been tossed onto the grass where a small poi dog busily gnaws away. He looks up at me for a moment, snorts with disinterest, and returns to his meal. At the table sits my host, a newspaper spread across her lap. It has been a long time, Lucy, she says, smiling up at me. Indeed, it has been, Your Majesty. My knees bend into a deep curtsy. It is not so easy as it once was. Please, join me, won't you? She gestures toward a chair opposite her. I will my stubborn body to take the remaining steps forward and ease into the seat as though it were a scalding bath. The poi dog retreats a few steps and lets out a low growl at my approach. Noho! Poni! The woman scolds the dog in Hawaiian. You must forgive him. He is mistrustful of new people. New people or old rivals? Think nothing of it, Your Majesty. You look well, she says. As do you, Your Majesty. She doesn't. She looks tired. But why shouldn't she be? The years have not been kind to her. This is your first time at Washington Place, is it not, Lucy? She wonders. It is, Your Majesty. I have never been invited. It is perfectly lovely, though I am certain that at one time it was even lovelier. The old estate seems to have faded, much like its lonely occupants. The towering Greek columns are more gray than white, and the lawn is overgrown with tangled weeds. I'm afraid my yard is more jungle than garden these days, she says with an eerie chuckle, as though she has somehow read my thoughts. No doubt Emma would have had it spruced up in short order. I have never seen a woman so content to spend her days digging in the dirt. So it begins. Somehow I had expected more small talk. She goes on. Yes, the gardens at Rook House were truly a thing of beauty. All those Chinese lanterns, like a fairyland. Her eyes seem to drift away. She is no longer here at the table with me, but in some memory of days gone by, the temptation to join her there is a dangerous one. Emma had a particular fondness for geraniums, if I recall correctly. And with that, I am gone. The uneven flower beds and imposing porticos of Washington Place are exchanged for the orderly hedges and sweeping lanais of Rook House. Now I am faced with a different queen. This one younger and more vibrant. Arm in arm, we stroll down an impeccably pruned garden path. Lucy, Queen Emma begins thoughtfully. I have a favor to ask of you. Anything, my queen. Before us stands a bush covered in vibrant pink geraniums. She leans in to inhale the fragrant flowers before carefully plucking one and returning to my side. In Britain, to present a flower is to present a message. I am told that this flower, she holds up the geranium, symbolizes true friendship. Queen Emma pauses for a long moment to collect her thoughts. I have lost much in this lifetime. A husband, a mother, a brother, a son. My heart aches at the mention of the little prince of Hawaii, her only child with Alexander Liholiho, gone from this life so young. The Queen looks deeply into my eyes. Through it all, you have been by my side. A true friend. She presses the geranium into my hand. Lucy Peabody, will you be my lady-in-waiting and live here with me at Rook House? Nothing would please me more, my queen. I am your humble servant, now and forever. Lucy! A different voice, less warm, less familiar. The memory fades, and I am back in the garden at Washington Place. My apologies, Your Majesty. I seem to have slipped into an old remembrance. It is only natural for women of our age. There is so much behind us, and so little ahead. The former queen chuckles. Is she laughing at me? What new struggles plague the islands this morning, Your Majesty? I refer to the newspaper in her lap, attempting to regain control of the conversation. She sighs and sets it aside. Oh, I do wish Piehu would stop stirring up trouble in Washington. Ah, a power play. She assumes she will have to explain these vague details to me. She will not. I am perfectly aware that Piehu refers to Curtis Iauakea, a trusted old servant of the monarchy, and the trouble in Washington refers to his contested race against Prince Jonah Kuhio for Hawaii's first congressional seat. I believe that Mr. Iauakea presents a valid claim, Your Majesty. I explain with confidence. If the election was handled incorrectly, then Prince Kuhio must be recalled. I do not disagree with you, but I fear all this fuss is distracting us from what is truly essential. And what is that, Your Majesty? Caring for the people, she replies. No political seat is more important than public service. Emma was the finest public servant I have ever seen. The founding of Queen's Hospital, the education of Hawaii's young women. What a shame that she, like Piehu, became so mired in the poisonous swamp of politics. I feel a burning sensation begin to creep up my throat and into my mouth, but before I could give it voice, I am back at Rook House. This time, I am sitting in a handsome study as Queen Emma paces to and fro, a fire behind her eyes. I do not care what anyone says. King Lunalilo was firm to have me appointed as his successor, she exclaims. Before he passed, he told me so himself. When election day arrives, no one but I shall sit on the throne. What of David Kalakaua? He has many supporters. It is true. One must give him credit for his ambition, she replied. But his word is not to be trusted. That man will say anything or do anything to get what he wants. And I fear that what he wants is to sell the kingdom to the Americans. There shall be no such worry when I am queen, for money means nothing to me. In fact, I will not accept a salary, and I will increase the salaries of the people by repealing these new taxes so hated by all. I will... Lucy, would you be a dear and write all of this down for me? At once, I fly to her desk and fumble for a pen and paper. Do go on. I will release the prisoners from Honolulu jail, and why stop there? I will free each and every leper so unjustly confined to Kalaupapa, and never, under any circumstances, will I marry a haole. I hereby announce and declare that I am a candidate for the throne of these Hawaiian Islands, and I request my beloved people to give formal expression to their views on this important subject. God protect Hawaii. Finally, she is silent, wiping the sweat from her brow and panting slightly. Well, she wonders, what do you think? I do not see how a true Hawaiian would support any other candidate. She crosses the room and takes hold of my hand. I am glad to have you by my side, Lucy. Now and forever, I reply with a squeeze. But of course it is not actually Queen Emma who holds my hand. My host has a concerned look in her eye. I seem to have lost you again, Lucy. Forgive me, Your Majesty. All this talk of politics has stirred my memory once again. You were revisiting the election, yes? Emma ran a fine race against my brother, but she had a tendency to let her desires run away with her. If only she had conceded defeat sooner, perhaps that ugly riot could have been avoided. I must keep my mouth shut entirely this time for fear of what I might say. Unfortunately, the former queen takes this as an opportunity to continue speaking. I have always wondered what kept her from going down to the courthouse that day and urging her supporters to stand down. Surely you have some idea, Lucy. Queen Emma did her best during a difficult situation, Your Majesty. What was she to do? Go traipsing down to the courthouse and throw herself headfirst into the melee? Once the danger had passed, the Queen and I wasted no time in rushing to intervene on behalf of Marshall Park's police force, those taken prisoner. Some cases were more complex than others. I am sure she did all she could, the Queen continues. If only Taffy had let the matter be. It is so strange to hear her refer to her vile brother, Kalakaua, by such a silly childhood nickname, Taffy. It paved the way for such ill will. I fear Queen Emma never forgave me my rank and position in the family chosen to reign over the Hawaiian people. I hope you know, Lucy, I did all I could to make her feel welcome in court. I saw to it that a seat was reserved at every entertainment and state occasion given at the palace, as befitted one of such royal blood. Royal blood? I clutched the edges of the table in a desperate effort to stay rooted in the here and now. But I'm swept away by the tides of recollection. I am back in the garden at Rook House. This time Queen Emma is older, frailer, but still full of life. She thrust the newspaper to the ground with an angry grunt. Changing my genealogy? Who do they think they are? My pedigree is without question. Perhaps Kalakaua should look to his own blood. Please, calm yourself. She has been in an absolute furor all morning. Please, for the sake of your health. Almost overnight, a vicious war erupted in the papers when a self-proclaimed skillful genealogist suddenly attacked Kalakaua's lineage and therefore his claim to the throne. The careless king swung wildly at the nearest enemy in his sight, Emma. They have been sowing these lies ever since my marriage to Alexander. Princess Liliuokalani would make a more suitable match. What nonsense! The queen rages. Lucy, listen to me. Only if you will sit down. Please think of your health. The queen's recent stroke has taken a serious toll on her. This excitement could mean her death. I have devoted my life to the service of the Hawaiian people. But it seems that Kalakaua and his family would see that legacy tarnished. The Queen's voice falters. I fear I am not much longer for this world. My Queen, do not say that. You know it to be true. And when I am gone, who will protect me from their poisonous words? If not you, Lucy. My Queen, be my champion. Carry on my good works. Defend my name. Promise me. There's a desperation in the Queen's eyes that truly frightens me. I will do as you ask, my Queen. Now and forever? She asks wistfully. Now and forever. I have kept that promise for 30 years. At a chair by a table in the garden of a former queen, I draw myself up to my full height. Excuse me, Your Majesty, but I must insist that you tell me why you have invited me here this morning. If it is merely to insult the memory of my beloved queen, then I shall be on my way. The woman across the table looks as though she has been slapped across the face. She offers no clever retort, no haughty smile, only silence. When she finally finds her words, she speaks in a small voice. I am sorry, Lucy. It was not my intention to offend you, no. I invited you here today to thank you. To thank me, Your Majesty. For this. She slides her newspaper across the table towards me and taps an article with her finger. New life for the Ahahui Kaahumanu. The headline proudly reads, June 14, 1905, conspicuous about the streets of Honolulu, for the first time in years, were the black satin holoku and yellow feathered lei of the Ahahui Kaahumanu Society. The old civic organization has been resurrected by its new president, Miss Lucy K. Peabody, and her compatriots. My stomach sinks. Your Majesty, I begin with trepidation. Lucy, please, she interjects. You are in charge of the Ahahui Kaahumanu now, not I. You are free to deny membership to anyone you like. Even myself. I never meant for it to be a social club anyway. When Kamamalu, Pauahi, and I first started that society those many years ago, we sought to help the women of Hawaii, to care for them when they were sick and provide a proper burial after death, just as the great Kaahumanu had done before us. Now you will carry on that legacy. But of all people, Your Majesty, of all people, I am glad that it is you, Lucy. You are strong. You are determined. You are fiercely loyal. Those are admirable qualities. There was no love in the end between Emma and I, but that does not mean you and I must quarrel. She produces a small object from the folds of her dress and holds it out to me. A single pink geranium. You have my support, Miss President. There was a time when I would have taken immense pleasure in striking that flower from her hand and crushing it beneath my heel. But this morning is different somehow. This woman is different somehow. Old rivalries have a way of clouding the truth, of confusing the good with the bad, the innocent with the guilty. If Emma still drew breath, if she had lived to see this woman stand tall against the haole, to see her fight for her people and her throne, would her resentment have survived? Perhaps, but then again, perhaps not. I reach out and carefully plucked the flower from the woman's hand. Thank you, Your Majesty. Queen Liliuokalani smiled.